I am emeritus professor of medicine at the University of Pennsylvania and past president of the American Heart Association. I was born in the Deep South into a medical family. My dad was a dentist who finished the University of Pennsylvania. My two brothers were dentists. There was always a doctor in the house. What impressed me most was the professionalism of my father and how respectful he was to patients. The patient always came first. My kid brother, he was about 5 at the time because I was about 7, developed a severe case of scarlet fever. And my father and mother called the outstanding pediatrician in town, who was white. And he came, made a house call. But the thing I remember was that when he left, he smiled at me and patted me on the head and said, "You're going to be a pediatrician someday." And that was good, made me feel good. And I was accepted to Lincoln at the age of 15. The war just started, World War II. 80-90% of the faculty at Lincoln were white. First time I'd had any warm relationship, lasting relationships. They would invite us in their homes, superstars. One had 3 PhDs. Went to Meharry. Meharry was a very fine school, mainly black faculty. There were only a handful of hospitals up north, teaching hospitals, that would accept African-American applicants. I entered the Philadelphia General Hospital as an intern in September of 45, I guess. The war had just ended. I was the only person of color there in my intern class. Each day, 2 or 3 stroke cases would come in, very severe, and half of them were in blacks and half were fatal. I was just struck by it because stroke was in the back of the textbook, in the back of the receiving ward, in the back of the hospital. There was nothing you could do. I was working one weekend, and I stayed awake for 48 hours, more or less. I almost fainted. And I almost died, It was pneumonia developed. And I said, "Good Lord, if you get me through this, I'll be good. And I promise you, I'll do something about the stroke problem, at least make people aware of it and try to prevent it if we can't treat it." They finally found the right antibiotic for my pneumonia and cured me. And I haven't had any trouble since. But that experience taught me that patients really want sympathy, tenderness, and hope. I began research that we were studying the flow of blood to the brain as related to heart function, and also the best treatment to improve flow of blood to the brain and when the ischemic stroke. And that led to my being invited to be a member of the executive committee of the Stroke Council of the American Heart Association, and I became president of the American Heart Association. I had the pleasure of working with both the Bush and Clinton administration. The Clinton administration was mainly the proclamation of Heart Month. American Heart had been working with FDA in getting food labeling accomplished and developed. President Bush signed it just before he left office. We've got to get people to understand disease and health and how to prevent disease so often by lifestyle changes. We had a 50% decline in stroke mortality after stroke became more visible. Decline in stroke mortality is leveling off again. And as a matter of fact, black women are getting more strokes now than before. The curve is turned the other direction. How to take care of yourself is so important, and how to take your medication, to understand the impact of high blood pressure, for example. I want to leave a word for children: to stay in school, study hard, and strive for excellence. That's the thing that they've got to keep as their goal.